Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, so we're diving right in today. Figuring out how many days are in a month sounds like literally the most basic Python task imaginable, right? Well, actually, scratch that. This seemingly simple calendar problem is secretly a complete Python masterclass in disguise. We aren't just solving a basic prompt today. We're going to see how this one single challenge teaches us 7 foundational software engineering concepts.
We've got a lot of ground to cover. We're talking if and else statements, the handy little in operator, lists, dictionaries, the newer match-case syntax, the nightmare that is leap years, and Python's built-in calendar module. By the time we wrap up this explainer, you won't just have some code memorized, you'll actually know how to evaluate and pick the exact right structural tool for whatever programming job gets thrown your way.
Section 1. Understanding the calendar problem.
Okay, before we write a single line of code, we really need to understand our baseline logic. Rushing into syntax without knowing the rules is basically a guaranteed recipe for a headache. If a user gives us a month number, from 1 to 12, we can drop the outputs into 3 distinct buckets. First up, the oddball, February, sitting there with 28 or 29 days. Then our 4 30-day months, April, June, September, and November. And finally, the remaining 7 months, which all pack 31 days. Getting a firm grip on this 3-part pattern? That's literally the key to everything we're about to do.
Section 2. Basic conditional logic.
So how do we translate those 3 buckets into actual code? Well, the most intuitive, beginner-friendly way is using classic if, elif, and else branches. It goes like this. Check if the month is 2. If yes, boom, print 28 or 29 days. If not, step down and check if it's one of the 30-day months. Still no? Step down again and check if it's a valid 31-day month between 1 and 12. None of the above? Invalid input. Now this brute force method is fantastic when you're just starting out or trying to ace a basic exam because you're explicitly writing out every single condition. But in the real engineering world, writing out endless if statements gets ridiculously clunky really fast.
I mean, just think about the contrast. Without the in operator, checking those 30-day months means writing out month equals 4 or month equals 6 or month equals 9 over and over. It's a ton of typing. But switch to the Pythonic in membership operator and it's an absolute game changer. You just ask, hey, is the month in this collection of numbers? It checks membership in a flash. It's shorter, infinitely more readable, and just a massive upgrade for maintaining your code.
Section 3. Data structures and matching.
Let's completely shift gears for a second. Instead of writing out conditional rules, what if we just mapped the data directly? Think about using a list. We can create a simple, fixed, ordered list of 12 numbers representing the days. But there's a major catch. You gotta watch out for the math, month minus 1. Why? Well, because we humans count months starting at 1, but Python starts indexing its lists at 0. So to get the days for March, which is month 3 for us, we actually have to check index 2 in our Python list. It's super fast, but you always have to remember that -1 offset, or it'll completely break your code.
Enter the dictionary. Dictionaries completely solve that zero-index confusion once and for all. Instead of relying on some hidden position in a list, a dictionary explicitly maps a key directly to a value. Month 1 points straight to 31. Month 2 points to 28. If a user types in month 7, you literally just ask the dictionary for key 7 and it immediately hands you 31. No weird math needed. It's absolutely brilliant when your input naturally calls for a clear key value lookup. Now, if you happen to be rocking Python version 3.10 or newer, you get to play with this absolute beauty, the match-case syntax. Instead of building messy, nested if statements, you just declare match month right at the top. Underneath, you lay out clear, distinct cases. And notice that vertical bar, the pipe operator, it acts just like an OR. So writing case 4, pipe 6, pipe 9, pipe 11 elegantly grabs all the 30-day months in one single sweep. It is incredibly readable and totally built for handling multiple explicit cases cleanly.
Section 4. The leap year twist.
All right, I'm going to have to challenge everything we've built up to this point. Are you ready? What happens if the user enters February? Think about it for a second. Every single method we just looked at has a fatal flaw. They all falsely assume the month number is the only piece of information we'll ever need.
But here's the reality check. February is not always 28 days. In 2025, sure, it's 28. But in 2028, that's a leap year, giving us 29 days.
If our actual goal is to find the true number of days in a specific month, the month number alone is totally insufficient. There's no way around it. Our program absolutely has to ask the user to input the specific year as well.
So once we have that year, how do we actually calculate if it's a leap year? We use modulo math. That's the percent sign operator you see in Python, which just finds the remainder of division. The golden rule is this: a year is a leap year if it is perfectly divisible by 400, or if it's divisible by 4 but specifically not by 100. This is a classic coding trap. For example, 2024, leap year. The year 2000, also a leap year, thanks to that 400 rule. But 1900? Nope, not a leap year at all, because it's divisible by 100 but not 400. Wild, right?
Let's piece this whole puzzle together into a manual, step-by-step algorithm. Step 1, take both the year and the month as inputs. Step 2, if they enter February, run that leap year modulo math we just talked about to print either 29 or 28. Step 3, check the 30-day months. Step 4, check the 31-day months. And finally, Step 5, use an else statement to catch any bogus, invalid inputs.
When you write out that manual solution, you end up with some pretty dense code. Let's trace it real quick together. Say someone enters the year 2028 and the month 2. The program hits that second block, checking for February. It then crunches the math for 2028. Since 2028 modulo 4 is 0, and it's not a century year, our leap year condition evaluates to true. It prints 29 days and just skips the rest of the script entirely. It's perfectly logical, for sure, but honestly, managing manual date math like this is the fastest way to give a developer a massive headache.
Section 5, the built-in Python solution.
If that modulo math made your eyes glaze over, don't worry. Real-world developers do not unnecessarily reinvent the wheel when the standard library already has the answer. Python has a built-in calendar module, and it is a total lifesaver. You just import it, toss in the year and month, and call calendar.monthrange. Now, monthrange gives you back 2 items, but we only care about the total days, which is the second item. And since we know Python loves starting at 0, we just use bracket 1 to extract that exact number. It's built in, it's virtually bulletproof, and it handles literally all of that leap year math completely behind the scenes.
Section 6, choosing the right approach.
Okay, so how do we synthesize all this? We need to talk about efficiency, which software engineers call big O notation. Don't let the term intimidate you. O1 complexity simply means that the amount of work the computer does and the memory it hogs does not grow, no matter what you input. Because there are only ever exactly 12 months in a year, our operations here don't scale into infinity. The input domain is strictly capped. So for all those list and dictionary approaches we explored, the time complexity is an amazing O of 1, because checking an index or grabbing a dictionary key is virtually instantaneous. And the space complexity, also O of 1, because our data storage is perfectly locked at exactly 12 entries. The workload simply does not grow. These data structures are incredibly highly efficient for this specific kind of problem. The biggest takeaway here is that you have to choose your method based on the actual problem, not just because a certain syntax looks fancy. Are you a beginner just learning simple conditions? Stick to basic if and else statements. Need fixed index-based mapping? A list is your best friend. Got clear key-to-value relationships? Use a dictionary. Dealing with tons of explicit cases? Match-Case is fantastic for that. But if you need actual real-world calendar calculations, drop the manual math and always use the built-in calendar module.
Look at how far we've come. We started with basic conditional if statements and went all the way up to standard library modules. Just goes to show that one simple prompt can teach a massive amount of programming theory. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just memorizing one specific code snippet to find days in a month. Being a true software engineer is all about understanding how to adapt your structural approach to fit the exact parameters of the problem sitting right in front of you.
You've got this entire toolkit now: conditional logic, data mapping, built-in standard library calculations. So I want to leave you with this question. Which data structure are you going to deliberately choose to use in your very next Python project? Try pushing yourself past the usual if and else rut, and see how lists, dictionaries, or modules can totally transform your code. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy coding.